Here comes Facebook. You are up. YouTube. You are thinking about it. Periscope and Twitter, you are there. Hello, everyone. Good morning. We just watched Biden and Trump a little bit. Now we're going to get to KK and see what she has to say. Interesting thing. I don't think any of the broadcast networks are actually covering this. I was wondering if they were going to do that, and then I went and checked C-SPAN, and she's actually, none of the networks are covering this press conference right now. We've got Trump and Biden. It's all Trump and Biden, and on Fox News, they're selling gold. That makes sense. Let's get going here. I've got people watching everywhere. You guys are a little bit delayed, so let's go with the broadcast. By the way, welcome to the live stream. I am your Heavenly Father, Kevin Williams. This is what we do. We chat truth to power, and we review things as they happen here. Sometimes we're delayed. We're a little bit delayed today, which is fine, because honestly, nobody's watching this. For 60 days now before an election, for the press to not only MSNBC and CNN, but for Fox News to be completely ignoring this press conference is remarkable. And I just remarked on it. So let's go.
Rick Grinnell, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, and
we got Robert O'Brien, the NSA.
Kushner, to talk to you about the history that was made here at the White House.
What did she call
and I have with
Jared?
Me Ambassador Rick Grinnell,
yeah.
National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien, and Senior Advisor Jared Kushner.
He's a senior advisor, son-in-law.
Talk to you about the history that was made here at the White House today, and then they'll take a few of your questions.
Thank you, Kaylee. Again, it was a great morning in the Oval Office with President Trump, President Vucic, and Prime Minister Hoti. We brought together, through the hard work of great diplomats, primarily led by Rick Grinnell, acting at the President's direction, Serbia and Kosovo, and they've normalized their economic relations. This is the Serbia-Kosovo conflict has gone on for decades. They've been stuck, unable to move forward for many, many years, and the President some time ago decided that we needed to try something creative, try something new, break the deadlock, and try to move forward with the peace process with Serbia and Kosovo. To have the Prime Minister of Kosovo and the President of Serbia together in the Oval Office was something, given the history of those two countries and given the history of the United States with respect to Serbia and the conflict in the Balkans, is something that is remarkable. And to have this happen just in the shadow, a few days after Jared and I were on the flight from Ben Gurion Airport to Abu Dhabi International Airport, the first commercial flight between Israel and a Gulf Arab state. It shows the sort of momentum that's coming. One of the side benefits of the normalization of economic ties between Serbia and Kosovo was the establishment of diplomatic relations between Kosovo, a majority Muslim state, and the state of Israel. This is now the second time in less than a month that Israel has made peace with and has normalized
Stephanie, Green Room,
with a
David.
majority Muslim country. It's another really signal accomplishment of President Trump.
Super great. Let's jump forward on him.
Is that the politics were at last?
See what Richard Grinnell has to say.
And so,
is he going to praise the president? That's the question.
Thanks, Robert.
President for strong leadership.
There's a lot of reporters who have worked a long time in your industry, and for any reporter that has been working
attack the press
more than 10 years,
yeah,
you will know this story. There was a terrible war.
That's C-SPAN pausing, not me.
And this story has been lingering for decades. And so I really want to appeal to you all as journalists to dig deep on
Thanks,
this
Scott.
story. This is one of those.
We got to get together for some social distancing soon.
I'm not asking you to do anything but look at the facts and look at really what's been happening here. We've been working very hard on this agreement for a
maybe
long
this
time.
weekend. Let me check out the weather.
We had
109 degrees
agreements last year that went largely unnoticed by Washington reporters. And I just really have to say I think it's a shame when we talk a lot about symbolism and we don't dig deep on these stories that last 21 years. What we've been able to accomplish here by pushing the two parties together is truly historic. The way that this came about is that the politics were stuck. Everybody knows that. We've been fighting and talking
And
about
what did
the
Trump do?
same thing for decades.
Yep.
They have been fighting about the same symbolism, words, verbs, adjectives. It's been a nightmare.
Person, places, things.
And what President
Lolly,
Trump said
lolly,
to me
lolly.
was, they're fighting politically about everything. Why don't we give it a try to do something different and creative? Why not try to do economics first and let the politics follow the
President is
econ-
always about money.
That
Well,
proved to
I hope it
actually
works.
be-
It's fantastic.
to look
Let's move on from Richard.
Things we were doing wrong.
Here we go. Here's Jared.
We shouldn't be a lot of politician chapter that this administration.
of doing things differently.
There's Jared Kirshner,
Ambassador
senior
did an
advisor.
Incredible job working through this historic agreement.
I don't know. I guess they've got his mic shut off. I can't hear him.
This is just another chapter that this administration
Is he
has been able
speaking?
to write towards making the world a
I can't-
safer
I-
and more peaceful place.
It's weird. The audio feed
President
seems to be
Trump,
fine,
when
but
he's
he's not saying
not a
anything.
politician. He sees things in
It's like a low
prism
buzzing.
that not a lot of politicians look through, which is
Nothing.
how can I truly do things that will make people's lives better, make people find common interests and opportunities.
No, the audio's
and
picking up, but it's
to
not-
resolve conflicts that, quite frankly,
He's not saying anything.
politicians have allowed to go on for far.
Hold on.
too long.
Let me just check the audio feed.
Today's breakthrough
In France to
Yeah, I
be
can hear him just fine.
in a
Maybe they don't have Jared's
not
mic
a
turned
lot of
on?
Politicians look through,
Is that-
which is how can I truly do things that will make people's lives better, make people.
Okay, well, that's probably a
common
C-SPAN
interests and
issue.
opportunities. Second,
Let's just fast forward
another,
through that.
Victory for.
And
Ambassador O'Brien,
here we go.
I have
Oh,
a
there's
question
questions for O'Brien. Let's see if there's
President
answers.
doesn't matter what these countries want, that any country that attempts to
I can hear him just fine. So yeah, okay, they got the audio issue fixed, so that's good.
We've taken unprecedented action. The president has taken unprecedented action in funding the hardening of our election infrastructure, whether it's cyber or otherwise. Obviously, there are tremendous concerns about mail-in ballots. In the news every night, there seems to be another picture of some apartment building
Of Trump telling people to vote twice.
in some city with thousands of ballots stacked up in the foyer of the apartment building or that sort of thing. So I think there are concerns about mail-in ballots. I think that those concerns are very different than being concerned about foreign adversaries trying to influence our elections. And we've made it a red line. We've made it very clear to the
Okay, go ahead.
Chinese, to the Russians, to the Iranians, and others that haven't been publicly disclosed. That anyone who tries to anyone that attempts to interfere with the American elections will face.
Jared has a lot of issues, which is why they're getting rid of some issues, specifically Stars and Stripes. There will be no more issues of Stars and Stripes, according to press releases. Because, screw the military. This the same day you're having to combat a story that says you don't respect the military, the Stars and Stripes gets canceled. If you're not unfamiliar, Stars and Stripes has been the journal of record, the newspaper for the military. I don't know. How long has Stars and Stripes been around? 200 years? 100 years? Who knows? Someone knows. Somebody look up Stars and Stripes, see how long they've been around, because it's been part of my lexicon since I was a young child, reading stories about World War II. Unless I'm just fabricating that in my head. But yeah, Stars and Stripes have been around forever. Let's get back to Granell. Oh, sorry, this is O'Brien.
Extraordinary consequences.
Russia sent I'm sorry, Ambassador O'Brien, a question on Serbia and Kosovo, then I just have a follow-up on that. In terms of the two parties agreeing to freeze the recognition and de-recognition campaigns, how long will that last, and how important is it to the administration that Serbia recognize Kosovo's independence?
1844. Yeah, thank you, Marcy.
So I think it's a year freeze. So that the idea of
Oh, you've just been fact-checked, Marcy. 1844 or 1861. I see a fight brewing.
that freeze is to give the parties time to negotiate some of the political issues that are between them. And our European partners, there's a European special envoy, Mr. Leitch.
All right, he's boring me. Let's get on to
level to
Macaroni.
which both China
follow up on what Ben was asking you. Attorney General Barr said earlier this week
Here we go.
that he feels China is being more aggressive in meddling in the election than Russia is. Do you agree with that assessment?
It would be on a masthead. All you have to do is pull up an issue of Stars and Stripes, and it'll be on the masthead.
I agree with him 100%.
And then I just want to follow up on that, and then I've also got a question about Israel. Can you just characterize at this point the extent and the level to which both China, Russia, and other foreign countries are right now trying to spread disinformation about the 2020 campaign?
Yeah, look, it's hard to know, what impact they can have or how they're spreading things. I think some of our tech companies are doing a good job in trying to police, whether it's Facebook or Twitter, others are trying to police things in a way that they didn't before. Our intelligence community is doing a good job in trying to track these things. DHS, Department of Homeland Security, with increased funding from this administration, is doing a good job in hardening our infrastructure to make sure that whether it's cyber infrastructure or physical infrastructure, to make sure that we're not susceptible to having our the choice that the American people make on election
I can see David Mickelson at home typing very strongly on his iPad.
day changed by some foreign party. There's always going to be propaganda. There's always going to be efforts to influence us. And again, we know that the Chinese have taken the most active role, but the Russians and the Iranians and other countries are involved as well. So we're going to keep them on.
So there's some argument in the intelligence community, by the way. Well, I don't know what's going on in the intelligence community, but all of the Trump supporters are saying the Chinese have the most active role. But everybody who's heard the intelligence report saying, no, Russia are the ones trying to hack the election, and they support Trump. The Chinese prefer Biden. Just about everybody prefers Biden because, he's a normal human being that you can sort of make negotiations with and trust that they're going to be upheld, etc. Everything that Trump has done is going to be undone as soon as he's out of office. We didn't say publish continuously, Mr. David Play with Words Mickelson. We said, when did Stars and Stripes start?
Monitoring it, and we're going to do everything we can to protect the sanctity of our election. That's the foundation of our democracy. That's what makes us America, and we're just not going to tolerate these other countries get involved in our elections.
In the Oval Office, just an Israel question.
Go ahead.
UAE's footsteps. Can you talk about where we're at on that process? What countries are interested
I'm going to
in?
turn that over to Senior Vice President Jared, who's just returned from the region, and maybe able to give you some background there.
Oh no! Bring back Baby Bill Clinton.
Much background, but bottom line is when we did the
they turned his mic off again.
Deal, that caught a lot of people by surprise because of the
maybe I can pump him up here. Hold on.
Was to keep things private. Obviously, we had some great. That more people will want to move forward. I think a lot of countries are quite envious of the opportunities that will now.
Poor guy. I mean, both times he goes up to speak, C-SPAN has an audio issue.
Investments, mutual
it's terrible.
Investing in technology.
I like though that his suit and tie are strategically matched to fade him into the background. Just match the background as much as possible so he fades away.
Very, very fruitful.
Okay, so I'm not a good lip reader, so we're just going to go. We're going to go past Slender Man again. I can't. I'm not getting any of this. So hopefully they'll. If he says anything, then maybe one of the other stations will be able to. They'll have a feed in there that we can use. But the C-SPAN screwed it up here. No, nothing. Let's go forward a little bit more.
Again, the media tries to ascribe a different way, but you have to look at his actions, and I think his actions have been incredible towards supporting the military, strengthening.
Nothing.
Continued.
Boy, he's on there for a long time. You'd think somebody at some point would have seen this and had this fixed. Did we end the press conference? Hold on, let's go back. We saw that.
Put old difference.
There's him again. Wow, even on the replay, they don't have his audio. This is embarrassing for C-SPAN. Back to Grinnell, or is that still the same? Here we go. We haven't seen that.
To forces, we're current
China.
So a lot of answers from O'Brien. He's the National Security Advisor.
Wouldn't these guys are going to fall?
Does Kaylee even come in here? Maybe we saw this already. Again, cut his audio again. This is just, I feel badly for the C-SPAN people.
The question I would like to ask you.
Okay, here we go.
Outside of Washington, D.C. This is a big issue.
Push to decriminalize homosexuality. Clearly, you were effective here as the special envoy to these talks between Serbia and Kosovo. But I wanted to ask you about another initiative you led last year.
Go ahead.
the Trump administration pushed to decriminalize
Yeah,
homosexuality.
I'm going to just talk about Kosovo and Serbia. I don't know if you can find it on a map, but this is atrocious. I have to tell you guys, you might be too young to understand what this issue is about. Maybe the older journalists should step up and say, this is a big deal. This is a big issue. I'm astounded at what happens in Washington, D.C., and especially in this room. I got to tell you, get substantive. Maybe it's too complicated of an...
Because they're not asking enough questions about, but I mean, yeah, maybe Jared should have had his mic on so there'd be a little bit of feedback for them, but what the
an issue for you all. But
So this is, hey guys, we've signed this peace accord between Kosovo and oh, by the way, remember a few years back, several years back, when there was a war there? Also, there was mass genocide. Do you guys remember that? Okay, well, we did it. Yay! But why are they attacking the media?
This is the first time we've had the opportunity to speak with these individuals.
okay, but today's about
about
Kosovo and Serbia. Let's take a little time and talk about this
Only those questions. Kosovo, Serbia, that's it.
21-year issue, Peter. I mean, 21-year issue. We're getting the same questions that are all politics.
Well, how about answering the questions and then we can move on? No?
You guys don't understand what's happening outside of Washington, D.C. People aren't listening to you anymore. It's really a crisis in
We have ratings and we have, sales, and that's okay.
journalism. And I think it's because people are too young to understand issues like Kosovo and Serbia. How about a substantive question?
Yeah, the young people are going to have, yeah.
I don't think any of us came here for a lecture about our questioning.
Okay, well, I didn't come
But the
here
question
to
I
not
would like
talk
to
about
ask
anything
you,
about Kosovo
the
and
question
Serbia.
Yeah, look at this young buck. He probably doesn't remember anything about Bosnia-Herzegovina.
I would like to ask you is it accurate to say that it's full economic normalization? There was some ambiguity as to whether that is what the deal is about. And
What do you mean by full?
well, that's the question for you.
No, it's a question for you. What's your definition of full? This is economic normalization for whatever the two parties could bring together. A whole bunch on rail, a whole bunch on water, a whole bunch on different industries.
So more accurate to say working towards economic normalization, is that fair?
No, I think it's incredible economic normalization. Air, rail, motor, opening borders, a whole bunch of industries. So, again, I don't know what's missing, and I defer to you.
Well, it's not really where he's going with the question. He's saying, how can I summarize this fairly? Is it full? Is it partial? Is it what? Look, hey, that's for you guys to decide, but you guys won't do it. You guys are so terrible. You guys are too young to
say what's outside of economic normalization that's not included here. You tell me.
Genuinely asking so that.
Well, you're the one who just put together the fucking plan. That's what we're at. We're asking you because we're not allowed to ask about anything else. Hey, Andy.
We can write our stories accurately.
Yeah.
Do we say that they
I would
have
say
achieved
it's
an
economic
economic normalization deal?
And changed from, a few months ago when they pulled down the tariffs to today. What is the substantive
Have you
difference?
read the agreement?
You haven't put the agreement out.
It's out.
Is it though? Well,
a whole bunch has changed since the dropping of the tariffs. The tariffs were the political sticking point of why we couldn't have the parties come together. The Serb side was not going to even start negotiations when there's a 100% tariff from the Kosovars.
The substantive thing that changed today.
There's
There's
a whole bunch of stuff that changed today in terms of economic development, in terms of...
what the hell? Okay, so this may still be happening. Hold on, let's watch live and see if it's still coming. No, replay. So yeah, it was just put out today, and you should have read it already. Hold on, it says it's still live. Let's see if we can find that. So what happens when they start replaying from the beginning?
Were numbered. So
okay, so this is still happening. Let's just catch up where we are.
When we were negotiating, there were a whole bunch of issues on the table. A lot of things were changed and edited, as you can imagine, in negotiations that this does. For someone to leak a partial sentence and pretend like this was the entire agreement, I think is typical politics.
I'm not finding the agreement on the White House website, but...
Number 10. And nothing is agreed to until everything is agreed to. So something leaked out in terms of negotiation, but it was partial, and I think it was highlighted in a way that gave a false impression.
Can I just ask one more thing? Maybe it's semantics, but we have been having this dilemma for quite a while now. When you say Shenzhen, do you think Shenzhen as in China's province, or Schengen like in Europe? Because we couldn't figure it out.
Europe.
So just to clarify, what did President Trump sign?
So we're not a party to the agreement. And I guess this is super important to remember, is that we didn't come, and there's a whole bunch of conspiracy theories out there about what we were coming to the table with.
This is Richard Grenell, former ambassador to Germany. Then he was director of national intelligence without any intelligence experience. He was acting.
We didn't have any
now he's
demands.
Just Richard
we
Grenell.
Certainly didn't have, I don't even want to say the word of what some conspiracy theorists say about past agreements with land. It was never discussed in my presence. What the two parties did was agree to move forward economically. What President Trump signed is as a witness to say this is a great agreement and the United States is happy for it, right? Would you? Yeah.
Is that normal?
The EU has tried and failed for the past 10 years to accomplish what your team is celebrating today. How confident, candidly, all of you, how confident are you that leadership in the EU, leadership around the world is looking at this as a template for success? Or is it going to take a whole generation of new leadership in order to kind of study what you have accomplished here and in the Middle East?
So I really have to own this to say I think we all failed for the last 10 years. I wouldn't just put this on the Europeans. I would say that it's the establishment foreign policy thinking that has failed, both in Europe and here, Berlin, Paris, London, Washington, D.C. We had great support from the French and from the Germans to try this new way of economic development. And let's also be very clear, the Europeans have a lot of economic development that they can do, and they will do. The team is meeting on Monday.
Yeah, he refused to answer the question about banning homosexuals or transsexuals in the military.
So say on the question on
for those of you who don't know,
one of the
Richard
is
is
why we were willing to not
out
talk
homosexual.
About it here.
So the Trump administration
it's
is
on the
often,
agenda Monday,
I hate to say it, but paraded him out as an example of how Trump is friendly to the LGBTQ community.
So on Monday, that issue will be dealt with very.
I know the tie is hideous, which is why I'm doubting the sexuality of this guy. But
so
I don't. You know what? I don't care. I don't question. That's
that
great.
We could kind of let and work with the Europeans on this issue, and so that's why it was taken out. But at the end of the day, we need the Europeans.
It's grandma candy. It's grandma ribbon candy.
Issue. We will help them, but their calculus on the political side is a little bit different because both Kosovo and Serbia want EU membership. And so they're looking at this very long path of how to get into the EU. We're supportive of our European partners.
Really? Our so-called allies who take advantage of us on trade?
Demands.
Who've been ripping us off for years?
So
we're supportive of those guys?
A seat at that table, but we certainly will help in any way possible. But that
this is Richard Grenell,
process, I think,
position unknown, talking about the recent deal, economic deal agreement between Serbia and Kosovo.
Talk about the success of it.
Thank you all very much. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you.
Okay, so O'Brien's taking off. Let's see if KK Macaroni comes up. Yes, she will. Okay.
Thank you guys very much.
Uh-oh.
So the president is bringing back the hottest economy in modern history. Today's job numbers are proof. There were 1.4 million jobs added in August, beating expectations. Unemployment fell by 1.8%.
Who's setting these expectations?
Now nearly 50% of job losses.
This is exactly what I was talking about, like 2 days ago.
V-shaped recovery. Also, I want to address what is quite clearly fake news. The
Oh.
story in The Atlantic has been categorically debunked by eyewitnesses and contemporaneous documents.
And has been
The
verified
Atlantic
by
claims,
multiple
quote,
witnesses.
when President Trump canceled a visit to the Aisne-Marne American Cemetery near Paris in 2018, he blamed rain for the last-minute decision, according to The Atlantic, saying the helicopter couldn't fly and that Secret Service wouldn't drive him there. Neither claim was true, says The Atlantic. That has been debunked. Behind me, you will see an email from one of the president's military aides that clearly reads, "We are a bad weather call for today's lift." The Atlantic reporting is based on 4 cowardly anonymous sources who probably do not even exist. Meanwhile, within hours, 10 sources, 10, went on the record debunking these lies.
There were
8
more than
firsthand
4
knowledge,
anonymous sources.
stating on the record,
Because there were
one
several
common
allegations
truth
in there.
that this story is false. It never happened. Adding to the 8 that were previously counted,
They're just going to go with the one story.
One is from Derek Lyons,
about
staff
Bella
secretary and
Woods
counselor to the
in
president,
France.
who says this: "I was with the president the morning after the scheduled visit. He was extremely disappointed that arrangements could not be made to get him to the site and that the trip had been canceled. I have worked for the president for his entire administration. One of my responsibilities is working with him on the many letters he signs to the families of our nation's fallen heroes."
John Barron was there.
In all my time at the White House, Derek writes, "I have never heard him utter a disparaging remark of any kind about our troops.
Disparaging?
In my view, he
Can you say it
holds
that
the
way?
brave men and women of our armed forces in the highest regard." I also bring to you today another quote from a former member of this administration, Dan Walsh, former Deputy Chief of Staff, who is also a retired military officer. I got off the phone with Dan just before coming out here, and he wanted me to share with you all, "I can attest to the fact that there was a bad weather call in France and that the helicopters were unable to safely make the flight."
Cool. And the rest of
Overall,
it?
The president's support and respect for our American troops, past and present, is unquestionable. And Dan recounted to me several events he went on with the president, like a World War II veteran who flew with the president on the helicopter in Normandy, visits the president had with our wounded warriors, special ops teams who came to the Oval Office, including the team that got al-Baghdadi, and they brought along Conan, the dog, as well. He met with families at the Army-Navy game. He does this routinely. And at the World Series, when he got an opportunity to go watch the Nationals, he brought veterans with him. And I can tell you from what I've seen for this,
That
from this
none of that
president, I have heard
disqualifies
him
the
describe
allegations.
His visits to Walter Reed in detail, and the
No,
angst
what
he
Bolton
has
said
had
doesn't
and the
disprove the
compassion
Atlantic.
he
He
has
just
had
didn't
and the-
hear it.
The hurt he has had viewing these warriors who have been absolutely injured in the line of duty and are courageous heroes, and I've heard him recount how meaningful those visits are. I've also seen him just a day before this article came up talk about there was rain and lightning popping around, and he said, "I want to go out there and I want to talk to our World War II veterans."
Yeah, I thought we were only allowed to talk about
Greatest
Serbia today.
generation, and the
She's too
president
young. That's what's
upholds
going
them in
on.
the
She
highest
doesn't
of
remember.
regards. So why would a publication abandon all journalistic integrity?
The rain
and
was a
publish
problem
this
that day, actually.
It's
But the
because
other
the
leaders were able to get there
liberal
because they
activists
took
at
cars.
Atlantic are uninterested in the
And
truth,
Trump
and they
didn't
are
want to sit in a
only
car for 4
interested
hours.
in peddling conspiracy-laden propaganda. Because here is the one truth. No one, and I mean no one, loves and cares for our servicemen and women as much as President Donald J. Trump. Thank you.
Is that it? No questions?
Why did the president say, "I like people who weren't captured"?
Kaylee, who
Did you guys
specifically
reach out to
said?
Kennedy or Mattis?
Kaylee, who specifically said?
So the guy who called John McCain a loser and not a hero because he got captured, that is the plain truth. Let's see if I can rewind this. I can't. Let's go. So that's over now. We're watching that in real time. Let me watch from the beginning. That's press reader. You guys don't need that. Let's go back and see if we can catch the end there. What did she call it? The unladen truth? What did she say? Come on, give me full. Or is that everybody? That's live. That's everybody leaving live. So that's not from the beginning. Come on, C-SPAN, work with me here. There we go. And okay, go ahead and play though. I complain, but honestly, it's pretty fancy technology they're using to make this work, and it's just not going to work for us yet. It usually takes a while to get that back in.
And was a huge.
And nope, we can't get near it. One more time. Let's see if we can get up to 47. And no, it's not going to do it for us. I'm sure it'll be all over the news here in a second. Let me pull it up on the YouTube TV. Let's see what everybody's talking about. And news commercials. Trump-Russian effort to undermine election is nearly
Hello,
identical.
Everyone. It's another historic day here
Yeah,
at the White
hold on.
House.
Where are you?
And I have with me Ambassador Rick
Shut up.
Bonnell, National Security Advisor.
Let's see if it'll let us do it now. Nope. Okay. So, yeah, nobody loves the troops more than President Trump. That is the... Like, why come out with that? Why not just say President Trump has supported the troops. We've had these pay raises. We've had this much money more for the military. Just use this instead of an obvious lie. Why? Why the obvious lies? Why do it? This is the way the administration works. But his base, which isn't enough to win the election, his base swallows it. Hook, line, and sinker. They'll just repeat it. Nobody. Anyway, these reporters are all too young. That's what I heard. Okay. Let's see what's going on with you guys. Hold on, let's check in. So Trump is doing a press conference at 2 Pacific time, so that really means probably 2:30. Let's see if there's anything else we need to review. Kudlow spoke this morning. Let's see. Sometimes there's a closed caption of that. There is not, so nobody wants... Oh, he speaks for 4 minutes. Let's see what he says.
I had before, the president said this... Treasury Secretary Mnuchin, draw any hard conclusions.
Come on.
Under discussion, that would be helpful. For example, extending...
Sounds like Jared.
Here has been school.
Come on. Oh, I've got the volume all the way down. I'm turning him into Jared.
And kids and jobs. You know, and I think the PPP program worked brilliantly. You saw more evidence of that today. Spectacular jobs numbers, absolutely spectacular.
Spectacular. We lost another 500,000 jobs permanently. Spectacular.
I think would be very...
Again, for those of you who didn't watch the beginning of the last broadcast, the big news out of the job, there's two. There's fantastic news and very, very bad news. And by fantastic, I mean, okay, unemployment's down to 8.whatever%. That'll be adjusted up in a couple of months. Did you see the mail-in ballot request today in North Carolina? I saw that the Democrats had requested about 4 times as many as the Republicans. I saw that. But I didn't see anything beyond that. If there's something beyond that, Chris, let me know. So the big thing with the job numbers is we are now at 3.5 million permanent losses. Those jobs are not coming back. Those are not temporary layoffs. Those are jobs that are gone. Those companies have been either eliminated or they've eliminated those positions. That's half the number of jobs that Trump claims to have created since he came into office. So up until the China virus, 7 million jobs. Since that, in just the last 7 months, 3.5 million jobs. Half those jobs have just evaporated. They're gone. Gone forever. Evaporated is the wrong adjective. That's not even an adjective. It's just the wrong word. Burnt. Okay. Yeah, 2 p.m. It's 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. Expected to be delayed. Right now, I'm sure Trump is watching the Biden replay, and he will be fuming mad about that. So there'll be some drama for us to watch. We'll see you guys then. I think I'm going to cut out for now. I got a bunch of stuff to do. I'm being attacked by my headphone cord. And hey, guys, it's been super fun. Let's just see if he says anything else. I haven't heard from Kudlow in a while. Have you guys noticed that? No Cud.
Booming housing sector, booming auto sector, and in general retailing, consumer
See, Andy.
spending very strong. You've got collapse of inventories last quarter. So that's a classic business cycle situation. You're going to rebuild your inventories.
It's not a classic business cycle. We had a 33% drop in GDP. We had a 50% drop in on-hand capital. That's not at all a classic situation. This does not happen on a regular basis.
That picks up manufacturing and construction. It's a big job.
He's a kind of economist.
Creator. And then, of course, that feeds into cost. But there's still the other half.
Hopefully what happens is that the economy does come back, because it should. Again, the fundamentals of the economy are strong, which are words you never want to hear. But it is the virus that if we can fix the virus, the economy should come chugging back. It's going to take a while, but it will come back, just as the stock market has done, and then collapse. What are we doing with the stock market today? Hold on, let me just check what the stock market's up to today. Stock market is down 44 today, so it fell quite a bit, and it looks like it's climbed back up again. Year to date, we are still down from our high of 29.3. We're looking at 28.2 right now, so we're still about 1,000 down. That'll go up and down within the next couple of days, and we'll probably get back up again. And then people will sell off, and then we'll get back up again and we'll sell off. That's how it works. Okay, guys. We will see you for Trump's speech a little bit later. Lizzie, if you're in here, thanks for all your help finding those missing words from last night. I have to upload that to the YouTube, and we will see you guys later.
Where are you going?
Kevin, is this helpful to Joe Biden?